had to move fast. Jumping out the window, he started running for the forest. He could hear the loud music everywhere and laughed to himself. Soon, the whole camp started waking up. If you've ever been to summer camp, I'm sure you've witnessed firsthand the typical summer camp pranks. But whether it be drawing on a sleeping camper's face, filling the cabin with fart spray, or panty raids, they all have nothing on the king of summer camp pranks, my dad. Back in the day, he came up with some of the most well-thought-out, far-reaching, and inventive pranks I've ever heard of, and he got away with almost all of them at the camp he attended every summer throughout junior high and high school. The idea behind this prank was actually planned the year before. A goal without a plan is just a wish. At the front of the camp was a tall flagpole that proudly flew the camp's name and mascot. Next to it was a small building. Dad had never seen anyone go in there. One day, his curiosity got the best of him, and he went to check it out. The little building had a locked door and one small window. When he looked inside, he could see a desk, microphone, and record player. Pretty quickly, he figured out that this was where they made the daily announcements. He heard it every morning at 7 a.m. Soft music playing for a while, and then an announcement about what was going on that day at the camp. Loudspeakers placed all throughout the camp carried the transmissions from this little building into every camper's ears. Dad's gears started turning. He noticed that the window he was looking through was a very old type, made of glass louvers. It had a crank at the bottom that, when turned, would cause each of the glass slats to rotate, opening the window. But from the looks of it, the louvers were rusted in place, and the window wasn't even fully closed. The glass slats were kept in place by metal racks on each side, which could be lifted up with a screwdriver to release the slats for cleaning. But he had other uses for those in mind. The next year, Dad arrived at camp with everything he'd need to pull off this prank, and after a couple days of camping, he decided that night was the night. He went by the building to scope it out and went through his suitcase to make sure he had everything ready. Check. Now all that was left to do was wait until the middle of the night. He finished out his day and got in his bunk at lights out. He got up around 2 a.m., double-checking his items and placing them in his backpack. He quietly sneaked out of the cabin door, leaving his sleeping friends and cabin counselor behind. He crept through the quiet night and approached the flagpole. Placing his bag on the ground, he grabbed the flagpole's rope and brought the camp flag down. After taking the flag off the rope, he reached for phase 1 of his plan. Quickly, he threaded the pirate flag through the rope and sent it up the pole. Now that the camp flag had been replaced, it was time to make sure it couldn't easily be taken back down. He grabbed his secret weapon of choice, STP. For those of you who don't know, STP is an engine additive for cars. It's a thick, gooey substance, much thicker than motor oil, kind of like slime. It's very sticky and extremely slippery. He put it in his pocket, grabbed the flagpole rope, and shimmied up the flagpole. He tied the rope around the top of the pole. Now anyone who wanted to get the flag down would have to climb the pole to reach the rope. But the king of pranks wasn't finished yet. He took out his STP, opened the bottle, and began smearing the sticky substance all around the flagpole. Working his way down, he left the entire pole covered. It was going to take much more than simply climbing to get this flag down. Once at the bottom of the flagpole, it was time for phase 2. He grabbed his screwdriver and approached the announcement building. At the window, he pried on the metal slats holding the glass panes and took each one of them out, one at a time. Once they were out, he climbed inside. Heading over to the desk, he reached inside his backpack for the heavy rock and roll record he'd brought up, or his mom called it, drug rock, and placed it on the turntable. He clicked the microphone on, turned the volume all the way up, and put the needle on the record. He had to move fast. Jumping out the window, he quickly replaced each glass slat and started running for the forest. He could hear the loud music everywhere and laughed to himself. Soon, the whole camp started waking up. He got to the area behind his cabin, stashed his backpack in the forest, and headed into the cabin outhouse in case anyone went looking for him. Rubbing his eyes to get them really red, he left the outhouse feigning sleepiness and stumbled into the cabin. Most of the guys in his cabin were already awake, including his counselor. Before anyone could accuse him of anything, he sleepily said,
"What's going on?"
as if he'd simply stepped out to use the bathroom.
Somebody's playing rock music on the speakers.
Another camper answered. Dad smiled on the inside and took a seat on his bed, acting as if he was as surprised as the rest of them. He was in the clear. Almost nobody suspected my dad of pulling that prank, and those who did could never prove it. The music played for 6 or 7 minutes, and the flag flew for 3 days that week. Everyone at the camp was talking about it. At breakfast that morning, the head counselor of the camp addressed everyone, saying that the person who did this should do the right thing and turn themselves in immediately. Everybody knew, including the head counselor, that was never going to happen. The king of pranks strikes again. Later, peeps. Ice Cube.
Vince Neil?
Vince tried to navigate the tight parking lot, almost hitting everything in sight.
If he so much as puts a scratch on my car, I'm gonna...
Hey, peoples, I hope you've enjoyed this installment about my dear old dad. He'll be featured in more episodes in the future, I'm sure. If you've enjoyed yourself, please subscribe and like this video, and don't forget to ring the bell so you're always informed of when my new videos are uploaded every week. Later.